We do all this marketing, right, for all the Nike athletes, but the one Nike athlete who just happens to be the most marketable, who just happens to be the most noticeable, who just happens to be the most recognizable, who just happens to be the face of women's sports, period. Not the face of the WNBA, she's that too. The face of women's sports, period.
As you can see, Nike just committed the biggest marketing gaffe since Bud Light, which completely destroyed their brand. They did this by treating Caitlin Clark, the most attractive person in basketball, like a bench player.
When we have her on our roster, even if it's not her commercial per se, let's at least throw her some credit and toss her a bone, shall we? Nike chooses not to even do that.
It began as a dream. In their dazzling Super Bowl commercial, Clark looked like the future of women's basketball and Nike's next superstar. Fans were ecstatic on social media. Travis Kelce was yelling at her, and even casual sports fans were paying attention because they knew Caitlin Clark was that girl. She wasn't just being introduced as Nike's next face, she was being crowned. However, just when it seemed like they finally recognized her worth, they did something so perplexing that it felt like a deleted scene from Dumb and Dumber. The following day, Nike released a follow-up ad, and guess what? Clark was erased from existence, as if she had broken some top-secret company policy.
You want to know what I'm selling? I'm selling greatness! Asia Wilson, 3-time MVP. We got Jordan Childs, we got Juju Watkins, we got Sha'Carri Richardson, and we got Arena Sabalenka.
Champion.
Hustling is not easy, but I love it. Sabrina, I know you want a tea. Thinking about it? You're thinking about it. They're gonna go fast, kind of like Sha'Carri. I accept card. Where's the card? Come on.
Oh wait, but what's in that box?
These don't come out till March. They may or may not be shirts, but if I tell you, I'm gonna have to kill you. Oh, you want one of these? Nike.com. Who wants a t-shirt?
Every other athlete from the Super Bowl spot was mentioned one by one as if they were getting awards, but Clark remained silent. Just hours before, his face had fans scurrying to purchase jerseys, and now he was treated like an outsider.
Like Nike is definitely in hot water over the Caitlin Clark commercial that appeared a day after the Super Bowl. Now, we all know Caitlin Clark had that big-time commercial that aired during the Super Bowl. Even Travis Kelce reacted to the first one.
Fans weren't the only ones who noticed they deleted Instagram and Twitter. The comment sections were like a live roasting session right now on TikTok. One fan posted that you make an advertisement and hype her up, then delete her like we imagined it. She's literally the reason we care. Another went in harder Nike. You clowns are fumbling the future Bud Light part.
So Caitlin Clark had her Nike commercial, and well, she didn't have her Nike commercial. She had one Nike commercial, and then the other one, they went out of her way not to talk about it. They went out of their way to not talk about Caitlin Clark.
The player who sold out arenas before playing a single WNBA minute, whose jersey sales broke records the moment it dropped, and who has ESPN analysts casually mention MVP potential before she's taken a pro dribble. This wasn't just a marketing blunder. It was a slap in the face to every basketball fan who has watched Clark transform the game. Like a broken sneaker, Nike tossed away the gold they were holding.
Nike.
Nike, Nike, Nike. Oh my God. Nike. Folks, sometimes it's just unbelievable. It's just I don't even know. I'm speechless. I am speechless.
And as Nike was racing Clark, other companies were vying for her favor. Gatorade, Wilson State Farm, Panini Trading Cards, and others saw the future when they saw Caitlin Clark. However, the best part is yet to come. Wait until you hear how Nike attempted to hide this. It's so absurd that you'd think Angel Reese was in charge of their public relations team.
Typical Caitlin Clark fashion. Caitlin Clark's Voldemort. They can't say Voldemort's name. Cheryl Swoops can't say Caitlin Clark's name.
Not only were ardent supporters criticizing Nike's catastrophe, but industry professionals were astounded as well. Those who actually create brands for a living were all expressing the same sentiment. These aren't just any Twitter accounts. These are marketing experts and sports analysts who understand what it means to be a once-in-a-generation star, and they were all looking at Nike like, how do you mess this up? You've got gold in your hands, and instead of building a legacy, you drop it on the floor and step on it. Caitlin Clark is currently the most marketable athlete in women's sports, and Nike just threw her aside like she was nothing.
So you make an ad and you mention everyone except Caitlin Clark. She is the reason for all of the hype. Show the respect she deserves. Can't wait for CC to go to another brand that will respect her. Your history is bookmarked.
Given that Curry revolutionized the sneaker game for Under Armour, one observer even suggested that Clark might be the Stephen Curry of women's basketball in terms of economic impact. However, here's the thing. Nike had the opportunity to do the same with Clark, but they missed it. Nike made a poor first mistake, but their subsequent actions turned it into a full-scale marketing catastrophe because, rather than being a billion-dollar corporation, they went into full meltdown mode, and their attempts to correct this made matters 10 times worse.
Put a commercial out, and if you guys did not hear, they released a quote-unquote director's cut. And by the way, this is my favorite thing of all.
Imagine this. Someone at Nike must have believed they could quickly patch things up by using the original Super Bowl commercial to try to retroactively insert Caitlin Clark's name. However, it wasn't a fancy edit. Rather, it was a butchered job. They hurriedly inserted a line about Clark into the narration of the advertisement as if it were a last-minute homework assignment, and the outcome was hilarious. His speaker's lips and voice didn't match at all. It was like seeing one of those vintage kung fu films when the mouth moves 5 seconds after the speech stops. Fans were watching jaws drop, wondering if Nike's simply dubbing over their own ad, akin to a poor TikTok skit. Caitlin Clark was named Rookie of the Year. Nike.com was so awkward and strained that it seemed like someone filmed it in their car on their way to work. I know you want some tea, okay? As brands like Adidas and Under Armour were likely sipping champagne while their biggest rival set itself on fire, social media had a field day with comments that criticized Nike like never before. One fan asked if they made her leave a voicemail for this, while another joked that you all thought we would notice the awful dub Nikes on the Bud Light path. Nike made this blunder legendary even though they believed they were solving the issue. Okay, so maybe it wasn't that horrible, right? Well, but it was worse. Fans were making jokes about it being the director's cut, but let's face it, it was more like the desperation cut. In this instance, the assignment was a multi-million-dollar advertising campaign, and the teacher was the entire basketball world. Nike resembled that student in class who forgot their homework and attempted to scribble something down 5 minutes before the bell. However, this is where it goes from embarrassing to completely unbelievable. It's not just a clumsy voiceover or a poor edit job. It's about a global powerhouse like Nike, which is known for setting the standard in sports marketing, fumbling their crisis management so badly that it's almost impressive. They had a great chance to own up to their mistake, put their hands up and say, "Hey, we blew it. We're sorry, Caitlin Clark deserves better." but instead they went with the corporate version of "my dog eat my homework." This is absurd. There is a crisis. PR 101. Admit fault, show accountability, and move on. However, Nike skipped that class and attempted to cover up the damage with that terrible voice dub in the hopes that fans wouldn't notice. The experts also noticed, and the marketing professionals weren't kind. They ripped Nike's response, with one PR consultant even calling it one of the worst crisis responses I've seen from a major brand in years. These are the same people who praised Nike's iconic "Just Do It" campaigns ads that inspired generations of athletes, and now the same experts are telling Nike, just don't. Consider this. This is the business that provided us with the firm that made Serena Williams a worldwide celebrity, created advertising campaigns that gave children hope that they might fly, and now has their biggest celebrity endorsements is Michael Jordan's Air Jordans. Fans of rising stars weren't merely let down. They were furious. The backlash struck social media like a tidal wave. Instagram, TikTok, and everywhere you scrolled, you saw the same thing. Fans were criticizing Nike for treating Caitlin Clark disrespectfully. One tweet went viral, saying, "Nike, you're a bunch of clowns." Why wasn't Caitlin's name said? The frustration was genuine. This wasn't just a commercial anymore. It felt personal, as if Nike had taken the player, who fans were supporting, and treated her like an afterthought. And now for the big question. What will happen to Caitlin Clark and Nike next? It's obvious that Nike didn't just fumble this. They burned the entire playbook, and now everyone is watching what Clark does next. Will Clark continue working for a company that values her about as much as a clearance rack t-shirt? Or will she realize it's time to join a company that actually knows how to spell her name without requiring a last-minute voiceover? It wasn't just regular fans who were upset. Content producers were all over this incident, like Angel Reese on a missed layup. Sports commentators and TikTokers jumped in, breaking down every moment of Nike's gaffe like it was game tape. One YouTuber didn't hold back, claiming that Nike would never be able to refute these accusations, and even suggesting that Caitlin Clark should stop using the brand altogether. Can you imagine that the same company that was supposed to be promoting Clark was now telling her to quit? Consider how wild that is. This was not simply irate tweets. These were actual statements from people who influence public opinion, and Nike, the company that established its legacy by associating itself with greatness, was now perceived as the brand stifling the future of women's basketball. The story was changing quickly. And it only got worse when the experts weighed in. Veteran sports analysts who have seen every marketing tactic in the book were completely perplexed. One of them shook his head live and said, "Nike just can't get out of their own way." You know something is wrong when people who typically applaud your brand as gospel are comparing your choices to a star player blocking layups. The pressure was mounting like a fourth quarter comeback, and every update on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok generated once the pinnacle of style, Nike, the company that made Michael Jordan a household name, was suddenly being ridiculed by fans for being more foolish than Angel Reese from three-point range. Analysts were pulling them along. The entire internet seemed to have become one enormous thread asking what Nike is doing. But this is when things start to go wild. This wasn't just a passing fad. It was getting worse quickly. You could almost hear Nike's marketing department perspiring through your screen, and you could feel the panic and desperation radiating from Beaverton HQ people. Picture the scene where Nike's team was huddled around a microphone, frantically saying, "Quick, someone say Caitlin Clark's name. We'll fix it in post." This wasn't just a marketing blunder anymore. It became a symbol of something larger: disrespect towards the athlete. And now the real question was hanging over everything. What will Caitlin Clark do next?